Has there been any other more infamous way to end an animated movie than a dance party? Like, genuinely, it's practically a stereotype now. For like the past 20 years, it feels like it's expected of every animated movie to end on a big dance party, whether or not it actually makes sense in the narrative. Hell, Disney even does it on occasion. To play devil's advocate, you can't say it actually makes a lot of sense to have an animated movie end on a dance party. It ends the movie on a big happy note with all the characters celebrating what happened after getting through the conflict. It gets all the characters together, usually for a curtain call to close all their scenes. It can promote a movie's soundtrack, be it an original song or popular one they have the rights to. And it's just fun, it's silly, over the top, it's just a good time for everyone. So it makes sense why a lot of movies end on it. But it's also critiqued by a lot of people, mostly that it cheapens a movie when a more poignant ending could be possible, and a lot of how it's very overused. It feels that a lot of blame falls on Dreamworks of their overuse of the ending, largely in the late 2000s period. How I cannot trademark the term of Dreamworks Dance Party ending. You don't hear Illumination Dance Party ending. It's practically a cliche of the company, and you can kind of argue it fits them, as they oftentimes try more unorthodox and chaotic style movies and tones, so the choice to make a more modern ending kind of fits. But is that fair? Like, really? Is it really unfair that we've all pointed the fingers at Dreamworks for not only launching the endings but maintaining it? Maybe we're all just gaslit and it really didn't make as many as we remember. After all, I said other movies followed the trend too. Is it all just amalgamated and we blame the studio on it? I want to check to make sure. I want to see if we really should deem it the Dreamworks Dance Party ending. And after this, I can say that TV Tropes is actually wrong about its list. And hey, it's not my channel without trying my best to give the studio more credit than it gets. So, I'm going to go through every single theatrical Dreamworks movie to see which movies have dance party endings and then compare them to the overall studio's output to get a final result. We're going to do this mathematically, that's how you know it's true. And as well as that, I'm going to bring up if I think the movie can totally end on the dance party and fit the tone and story, but it doesn't. Because I think showing restraint should also count for something too. Now, as I said, I'm going through every Dreamworks movie, and I'm also going to talk about my feelings on each if I can, because, you know, I'm not really going to do a big ranking video on these things, so I feel like this is the best thing for me to get all my opinions out without dedicating an entire video on it. But it won't take too long for each. So if you wanted me to make a video like that, this is the best you're gonna get. You're gonna get practically a Dreamworks studio retrospective. You're gonna learn some stuff. I also haven't seen every Dreamworks movie, and I really haven't had the time to watch them all for this video, because good lord, this semester is literally trying to kill me. This video took 3 weeks to make. So for some, I'll just talk briefly and then go through the ending itself. But I do have criteria for what counts as a Dreamworks Dance Party ending, and it's pretty complex, so stay with me. 1, it has to be a Dreamworks movie. Still with me? 2, it has to have a dance party. And 3, it has to end the movie. Okay, hope that wasn't too complicated for you guys. Okay, but in all seriousness, there are a few surprises here on what actually counts as a dance party ending, so really keep that ruling set in stone. Also, it has to be a full scene. If it's just dancing in the credit void, it doesn't count. Okay, so that's it. We're going through every Dreamworks movie and see how many really have a dance party ending. So let's finally get started. So starting off with Dreamworks' very first movie, Ants. That's just ants. Ants with a Z. Gotta remember that. It is kind of wild that such an iconic animated studio started out with a rather unassuming movie, but it's not entirely true, as we'll see soon. Honestly, I get it confused with The Bug's Life a lot. And Ant Bully too? Man, there's a lot of animated ant movies. But actually, that was intentional, as when Jeffrey Katzenberg left Disney to make Dreamworks, he took the bug idea with him. Actually rushed ants to come before Bug's Life, true story. First thing I need to say is, by God, the human ant faces look horrifying. Second is the only thing even more horrifying was the termite scene. But that is more the point, as Ants is actually more adult oriented than kids, surprisingly enough. It is still technically a kids movie, but it has more adult themes and is more dialogue heavy than you'd expect, and especially compared to Bug's Life, which is much more kid friendly. So it makes a very interesting product surprisingly more experimental than you'd expect, especially for a first movie for the studio. But to the point of the video, the ending. And yeah, obviously a dance party isn't gonna quite fit this movie with the tone and story it has, and everyone knows that ants can't dance nor have the capability of inventing dance floors. Bug's Life, maybe, but not here. So no dancing ants to end this movie off, unfortunately. And as previously said, this couldn't fit with the dance party ending either, so no dice there. So Dreamworks starting out already doesn't adhere to the stereotype it will get later. Then to the second movie ever made, The Prince of Egypt. I really don't know what I can say about this movie. It is legitimately one of the best animated movies of all time. I'm kinda surprised this movie was made. An accurate retelling of the Book of Exodus, given all the weight, drama, and nuance it needed to make an animated masterpiece. It retells these biblical figures in compelling ways and brings the story to life in an awe-inspiring and completely gorgeous way, where it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like a downright epic. And I really don't think I can give it justice here. It does deserve the title of potentially Dreamworks' best movie, and pretty much the pinnacle of animated Bible retellings. I don't know what I can add here. Well, okay, I will say something some people might not know. Katzenberg always wanted to make an animated movie about Moses, and when she left Disney, he wanted to make a larger-than-life animated epic, and Spielberg suggested in the way of a remake of the Ten Commandments. So they wanted to give this story the dignity and scale they felt it deserved and go all out on it. And it did enter production before Ants did. Ants just got completed earlier by The Rust to compete with Bug's Life, so by all accounts, The Prince of Egypt was the real first DreamWorks movie and the main drive to bring it to life. And I think that's incredible. But we're not talking about this movie or even DreamWorks' history. We're here to talk about dance parties. And come on, you really think in a serious dramatic retelling of the Book of Exodus from the Bible is gonna have Moses himself in front of all the freed Hebrews break it down the wilderness after crossing the Red Sea as God himself plays Boogie Fever? Obviously it doesn't end with a dance party, nor could it possibly end on one. So yeah, very obvious from the start. Moving on. Next up, the cult classic, Road to El Dorado. I don't think there's been another DreamWorks movie that basically got as big as a fan resurgence after the internet became a thing. Well, okay, minus one. And I do really mean it. It bombed at the box office and got only a mixed reception by critics. But it's grown a massive following online of people who love it and consider it a true underrated gem of the studio that should have gotten more movies. Gives me hope that it can happen again to a particular movie near and dear to me, but we'll get there. This movie is meant to be a spiritual successor to all those comedy adventure movies, specifically the Road 2 movies in the 40s, with Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, and here's a lot of the same themes and humor. Especially seen with the bumbling, unwitting hero duo, Miguel and Tulio, finding themselves actually discovering the mythical city of El Dorado. They're deemed as gods by the locals and trying to make off with the legendary riches of the lost city without being caught and killed. Now, no doubt its comedic-based tone and lack of serious in-depth plot or nuance has caused it to get its middling critical reception, but due to said over-the-top comedic nature and fun and lovable characters, and just shell in general, had given it a new life in internet culture, with a lot of memes and scenes becoming iconic and grew a big cult following as DreamWorks' most underrated movie. Me, myself, I like it. It's definitely a fun time, but I don't love it like other people do. My favorite part was the cool Stone Jaguar sequence though, and I still would definitely recommend it, especially to go back to the DreamWorks 2D animated era. However, to the topic, it doesn't end with a dance party, but instead going on new adventures, which will probably never come. Well, I'll never say never, especially with their resurgence. But honestly, I think it kind of could have ended with one. I mean, the ending itself doesn't allow it, but the tone is so light and silly for most of it, and it already has a big catchy musical number in It's Tough to Be a God, and there's some musical moments with Miguel vibing with the townsfolk. It could have ended with a big dancing celebration with all of them if they really wanted to. So I'm counting this as the first time a DreamWorks movie could have ended with a dance party, but didn't. Next up is Chicken Run. I always found it a little weird that DreamWorks and Aardman has such a tight history, even at the start. This was technically Aardman's first feature-length movie, as Katzenberg really wanted to work with the iconic studio to help them make and distribute it. Chicken Run is surprisingly dark and very moody, involving a group of chickens trying to escape their cruel farm before the farmer, tired of making such small casts from the eggs, wants to cook all their chickens into pies to increase revenue. As the stakes are made very apparent and clear with an overall grim tone in the story and visuals, where the farm is more of a high-security prison. And that's intentional, as it's actually a spoof of The Great Escape, placing escaping a World War II POW prison camp with the farm. And despite not being as iconic as Wallace and Gromit or probably even Shaun the Sheep, I feel it's definitely iconic in its own right, not only for its place in DreamWorks' early history, pairing up with an iconic studio, but also just being a good film in general, one of Aardman's most notable products. And also iconic on how it probably scarred the children who saw it. Really noticing a pattern here. But yeah, for ending, no dance party. It just ends with the chickens free and safe in a new home, and a woman being horrifically crossed to death. And for most of the movie's dark and gritty tone, even if it did have a happy and helpful ending, it doesn't really work with a dance party ending regardless, so no dice there either. And honestly, this about ends the early era of DreamWorks. And what do you mean this got a sequel? Alright, so, crap, what was next? I really feel I should remember what happened at the Chicken Run. It was really big, right? On May 18th, 2001, the world got Shrek'd. Pack it up, it's all ogre now, play All-Star! Well, okay, maybe don't, I really don't want to get copyright claimed. Is it an over-exaggeration to say that Shrek's release and impact was as massive as an impact on the animation medium since Disney released Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Well, yeah, probably. But still, Shrek was a massive deal. This is arguably DreamWorks' first mega success. It proved that they could be a massive player in the field and go toe-to-toe with Disney and Pixar. It left a lasting impact on the entire animation medium that's still felt today. Now it feels that every animated movie is obligated to have celebrity voices, pop songs, and modern cynical humor because of this movie's impact. It really feels that everything went right for this movie. It wasn't just a subversive takedown of the Disney movie stereotype, pointing fun of musical numbers, fancy princesses, magical roles, and perfect pretty heroes, but it also had a beautiful story of self-acceptance and love and embracing your own flaws when society tells you not to, that so many people relate to. Its humor was edgy, cynical, but also absurdist and inane. It had smart humor, it had dumb humor. The characters could feel so one-note yet nuanced and lovable. It introduced obligatory celebrity voice cast, and yet everyone worked perfectly. Shrek is one of the most unorthodox animated mainstream movies ever, but it succeeded at nearly every aspect. And not only was it a critical and audience hit, not only did it make so much at the box office, but it arguably gave DreamWorks something that none of their other movies could provide. Not even Prince of Egypt. Marketability. This was the first time DreamWorks truly had a popular mascot that people loved and remembered and they could do anything with. And they did not hesitate. They did everything. Clothes, toys, animated spin-off specials, theme park rides, I wish could experience again. Damn you mans, why take us so much space in this stupid park? Costumes, disgusting food, what the f am I looking at? And the internet gave it another new life as a massive source of memes and internet humor that just defined its cultural legacy. But in a weird way, I think it fits perfectly. Shrek was always an unorthodox, weird, gross, cynical, subversive story. So the fact that the spirit of that carries on through the internet kind of fits. Especially also with how its themes and emotional moments are still so relevant even today. It was even put in the Library of Congress. That's how culturally significant this movie is. It defined DreamWorks from then on. This is when their true legacy starts and it's birthing the new era. But you know what? Screw the critical acclaim, screw the cultural significance, screw the nuance in storytelling. What about the dance party? And yes, this movie gave us the most iconic dance party ending in cinema history. The I'm a Believer dance sequence. Not only is this song perfect for this scene to the point you think it's original, perfect for the tone of the movie and what it's going for, but it is the first DreamWorks Dance Party ending. This is the reason we are here today. It's glorious. It's hard to believe because this was supposed to be weird. It's making fun of the usual animated movie ending, where the characters like just go off in the sunset to new adventures or end with a proud panning shot. No, it's just a bunch of characters having a dance party and a wedding celebrating everything while a cheesy pop song plays. It's supposed to be subversive. And yet, this movie's impact was so great that other movies adopted it, even when the point is that it shouldn't be the usual ending. That's insane. So Shrek's immense success and cultural relevancy not only saved DreamWorks and made its legacy to this day, and reshaped the whole animated movie landscape, but it also single-handedly created the animated dance party ending and other studios adopted it. Incredible. So now the table is set. The first DreamWorks dance party ending has been established. The question is, how many more are there? Now to Shrek 2. Oh, wait, there were other movies in between. Keep forgetting. Crap, what are they? Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. I think I saw this as a kid once, but I have like literally no memory of it. I don't have time to go through it again. I remember there's this horse and he grows up and there's a girl horse and an Indian guy and I think the Confederacy are in there somewhere. That's literally it. But it doesn't matter because this clearly doesn't end with a dance party. I mean, it's a movie about a horse. This isn't regular show. This isn't a party horse on Party Horse Planet. So no dance party, no possible dance party on the account of horse. Now to Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. I genuinely think this might be the most unknown DreamWorks movie made. I don't think many millennials my age even know this movie existed. Literally the only thing I hear is how Eris is cool, and I've always wanted to check it out one day, so I gave it a shot here. And honestly, it's a ton of fun, even if it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. Sinbad the Sailor is framed by Eris, the god of discord, by stealing the MacGuffin Book of Peace, and has to travel to Tartarus to get it back before his best friend is executed in his place. It's full of adventure, action, and monster fights. It does remind me of El Dorado, but this one mostly drops its comedy in favor of, again, a more swashbuckling adventure. But I think I like this one more. I love the animation, all the intense action and set pieces, it's really cool. Well, okay, minus some of the awkward CG integration, oof. For dance parties, clearly no dice. No dancing Sinbad here, just ends with a standard onward to another adventure way. No, it couldn't really fit the movie. If you've wondered about it, I definitely say at least check it out. It's good fun and the last hurrah for DreamWorks' 2D animation. But yeah, unfortunately, it bombed at the box office, which is a bad set of the momentum of animated movies to come. 2D is out, 3D is in. And this is not only the last of the DreamWorks 2D hand-drawn movies, but also ends the beginning experimental era of the studio. And well, it's made clear the direction it's gonna go. And on May 2004, the world once again got Shrek'd. This time with Shrek 2. DreamWorks' first sequel, and truly established Shrek as a franchise and their main icon. Now, this movie in the animation community is treated as the pinnacle of the studio, like just after Prince of Egypt, as a perfect, uncontested cinematic masterpiece of all time with no flaw. So, it pains me to say that I never actually got into it. Okay, before you kill me, I don't actually hate this movie, I promise. I actually like it. I think it has to do with how I first saw it, like I never experienced the entire movie the whole way. I actually mostly just saw all the major scenes and scattered clips until I finally saw the whole movie itself. So a lot of the initial impact was lost on me. So yeah, my experience with the movie was ruined, but I did like it, and a lot of the stuff like its themes, new locations, the new characters like Puss in Boots and Fiona's parents, and it rightfully developed the story and characters in new interesting ways. And that I Need a Hero sequence is iconic, it definitely deserves its status as the best Shrek movie. But again, I just couldn't seem to get into it for some reason. At least not like as obsessive crazy that other people are. I did have some issues with it, like how the pace feels kind of off to me, and I always was bugged by the stuff about how Shrek is always going to be an ogre and changing his appearance won't change that, and he doesn't deserve a happy ending. Like, I know it's his fairy godmother trying to prod his own insecurities for her own gain. I like that. But it bugs me how the movie kind of treats her like she's right in that way, that he's always going to be an ogre inside, he has to accept that who he really is, and that he deserves to be happy regardless. Like, Shrek doesn't really act like an ogre, he's not some slobbering, mindless vicious monster. I mean, he's kind of gross, but he's still basically just a guy. It's not like his attitude changes once he becomes human. Oh, literally in the 4th movie, we see how different he actually is from other ogres. Also, I do not buy that Prince Charming successfully managed to spend the whole day pretending to be Shrek to Fiona. Like, this idiot would only last like an hour tops. And while I do enjoy the I Need a Hero sequence a ton, it's great. I'm not like super extra, oh my god, this is the most perfect sequence ever in existence about it, like the entire internet seems to think. Honestly, I think I like the Gawain Saga sequence with Underpants' amazing cover a bit more.
Don't kill me!
And you know what? That's fine. We can still like a movie and think it's great without absolutely loving it to death and admitting we have some personal issues with it. I really don't like how the internet nowadays just demands you have to be hyper obsessive in love with a movie and you aren't even allowed to just think it's good, as if not loving it means you hate it. Just like in the movie, how Shrek was able to respect his flaws and love himself, you can all respect my flaws and still love me. Please don't kill me, I have a family. But this being a Shrek movie, of course has to end with a dance party. And here it does as they take over King Harold's party after witnessing a famous woman getting killed in front of them. But weirdly to live in La Vida Loca? Huh? I found that where like every other soundtrack from the movie and the previous movie fit the context of the scene, I'm a believer perfectly fit for the first movie, but this was an odd choice. But this movie was another massive critical and financial hit. Hell, it held the record as the highest grossing animated movie back then. The path is clear, and Dreamworks' identity is defined now by its flagship franchise. The only thing left to do is to keep going with the winning model. Or was it? And this brings us to Shark Tale, possibly Dreamworks' most infamous movie. When I say that Dreamworks took too much influence from Shrek's success, I mean it. As for a while, the studio made projects that tried to emulate it, a lot of times without the actual heart of what made the Shrek franchise so great. And no other movie exemplifies it more than here. It has basically every superficial quality of Shrek but without any depth. Celebrity voice acting, pop cultural references, an over-the-top hip in-your-face attitude, edgy humor, and surface-level parody. Will Smith and Jack Black are trying to be Shrek and Donkey in an awful story where Oscar here draws himself an undeserved praise on a throne of lies and is just a general and likable asshole. This movie has been a punching bag of Dreamworks and is also inciting as encompassing its worst elements, and yeah, it's hard to disagree there. As I said, it's basically taking the wrong lessons from Shrek just to become profitable. Though I'm really not big on the animation community starting to give it a pass because of irony and memes. People say, well, I'd rather watch a bad movie than a mediocre one, and I hate that mindset so much, it's extremely toxic. You're saying that a movie that had some good parts and ideas, even if it wasn't executed as well as it could have, has less worth than a piece of garbage like this? Come the hell on. Like, please tell me you don't actually think that way, you're just doing this to sound deep and poetic. And yeah, this movie is honestly as shallow as a kiddie pool. And of course, since Shrek did it, it also ends on a big dance party ending. It is so try-hard, god. Now, this is the start of what I like to call the Shrek Cascade, which I'm really not too big on this era, where a lot of the next few movies Dreamworks made tried their best to emulate Shrek and its attitude and other surface level aspects, but oftentimes lacked the genuine nuance and emotional storytelling those movies had. And arguably, it can be seen in the next movie. Madagascar is one of Dreamworks' more iconic franchises. I don't consider it a part of their big three, but it's definitely up there. Now, I and many people have a lot of nostalgia for this movie, but unfortunately I don't think there's a lot for adults. Now again, I don't hate this movie. I really don't hate most Dreamworks movies. I like it enough, but revisiting it, I see a lot of the problems. It kind of has Shark Tale's issues, albeit much less severe, like quite a few dependencies on pop culture and kind of edgy humor, and lacks a lot of actual depth. But it's also super aimless in its plot with just building a bunch of stuff happening, so I can't really get too invested. There's not that much stuff that's actually engaging. Like, the only thing is maybe the group dynamic, but it's not that much. Gloria and Melman feel kind of pointless. And the penguins undoubtedly carry this franchise, don't deny it. Again, I don't hate it, I'm just kind of okay with it. It's definitely a kid's movie, but there's not much else to it. Thankfully, the later movies improve the quality more. However, surprisingly, it doesn't actually end on a dance party, which is weird because the lemurs love dance parties. I Like to Move It is like tied directly to this franchise, so them actually not doing it is strange. It just ends on a big send-off by the lemurs and the gang, and while they're happy, no one's exactly getting down. So this is weird because, again, it totally could have ended on a dance party, and it's weird that it didn't. Huh. Well, there's another for the books. So remember how I said that the next few movies were going to emulate Shrek for a while? Yeah, I know, this one is an exception. With Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit, this one is Wallace and Gromit's first full-length feature movie and continues their collaboration with Dreamworks. And I mean, who doesn't like Wallace and Gromit? It's like a cosmic crime if you don't like it. They're like wholesome whimsy manifesting in molded clay. Effectively, Wallace and Gromit have a new job as pest removal services to take rabbits infesting the yards to a new home. However, the horrible were-rabbit is terrorizing the town in the upcoming festival, and it's actually Wallace himself. You have to find a way to reverse it before the event and before Wallace's hunter rival has an excuse to kill him. And I mean, it's Wallace and Gromit. It's always great and lovable. You'd love to see a full feature-length movie of it. I actually remember some parts kind of creeped me out as a kid. But weirdly enough, this is Dreamworks' only other Oscar win outside of Shrek. Huh. I mean, you'd figure it would have happened to another movie. But yeah, no dance party ending either. But honestly, with the climax of the Vegetable Festival, like, they could have had a dance party if they really wanted to. It's not completely out of the movie's tone. Come on, you don't think it would have been hilarious if Wallace is out of nowhere busts to move? So, I'm gonna say, yeah, this one totally could have had a dance party ending too. Now to another which people my age might be nostalgic for. Over the Hedge. Now, I definitely remember growing up on this movie, and so many others might have too. But honestly, I'm not big on it. How old do you even think I was when I first saw it? It was just a movie that I had. Also, I had like no idea this was based off a comic. So RJ is forced to collect a load of food by this bear for hibernation, and he coerces a bunch of animals with celebrity comedian voice actors living by this hedge to help them steal food from all the humans around them. And honestly, I'm just not into it. I just don't really think it's anything that special. I just have a hard time getting engaged in the characters and all their little mini story arcs. I'm also not really that big on the humor and jokes. Well, okay, maybe some. Come on, guys, we have Jack Horner now. We don't have to pretend the Verminator was actually funny. Still, it has some moments like a fun climax in the titular heads and the hammy Quicksilver scene. Well, yeah, I just think it's okay. But if you like it and are nostalgic for it, I get it. How my opinions then drive you over the edge. But to the video topic, also no dance party ending, just ending on another joke. I think it might have been able to have a dance party ending if like one of the animals stole a speaker system and never gave it back or something. But that's a big what if, so I'll put it as a possibility. Now to another Aardman collab, the last one, Flushed Away. Unfortunately, the collaboration between the two studios split after this one, but also this was the first Aardman production to be done in CG instead of claymation. Apparently this was because of the heavy use of water in the story that could damage the models and would be super hard to render, which I do understand, but
They're not the same!
now again, this movie is a ton of fun too, even if admittedly I feel it's kind of buried between Chicken Run and Wallace and Gromit. It gets forgotten in between. Well, aside from
Huzzah! A man of quality.
but who cares about that? We finally got it. Another dance party ending. Yeah, I think this one often flies under the radar, but it counts. There's music, there's dancing as a big celebration, and ends the movie. You know, it's weird that when the Shrek Cascade, where a lot of Shrek's attributes were carried on in Dreamworks later movies, that the Aardman co-produced one is the one to actually do it outside of Shark Tale. Kind of enforces what I said about maybe it's a lot less set in stone as it seems. But here's another big one, Shrek the Third. I would say the world got Shrek'd once more, but this movie is actually infamous among Dreamworks fans as being one of their worst. Like, it was always just seen as bad, but after certain YouTube videos, it seemed to have grown a cult of hatred of it. I mean, personally, I don't really have the effort to hate it. I'm just kind of bleh on it. Like, it's definitely not good, it has a ton of problems. The jokes aren't good, there's very actual little nuance or distinct character studies or emotional storytelling, which is what the previous Shrek movies had in spades. And it's very messy with its story, just like all over the place, and none of it has any substance to really carry it. I do like the idea of Shrek worried about starting a family and if he can handle it, and getting children to accept it by being a parental figure to Arthur. You can get a lot from that idea, but shame on execution, it really falls flat. I do find it funny that like the events of this movie are never referenced again in the franchise, but what I really hate is like the animation community doing that thing where they just refuse to acknowledge the movie they don't like exists. Like, wow, Shrek is great, I'm so happy there wasn't a third movie. And like, come on. You know, we can acknowledge a movie's flaws and quality and learn from them and appreciate what did work or the missed opportunities like reasonable adults. We don't have to act like goddamn babies all the time. These movies are meant for kids, you don't have to act like them too. So yeah, I don't have a rage against this movie, I just think it's bad and forgettable. But also, there's no dance party ending. Yeah, my god. I take it back, I hate this. This is not a Shrek movie in the slightest, this is sacrilege. It's actually just Fiona and Shrek raising their kids with Shrek happily being a father now, with his own family never thought he'd had. Which again, I like that idea a lot, just shame the movie didn't live up to it. And well, It's a Shrek movie. Of course it could have ended on a dance party. They literally invented it. And then one of the most infamous movies by DreamWorks, B movie. Now you better be prepared that this has become one of the most beloved movies by DreamWorks because of its meme legacy. Like genuinely, this movie's legacy is defined pretty much solely by memes. Literally the transcript of the movie itself has become a widespread meme. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like literally this whole thing started with Jerry Seinfeld and Spielberg at dinner, where Jerry just said absentmindedly, what if they made a movie about bees and called it Bee Movie? And Spielberg said,
that's the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
Then told Katzenberg who greenlit the movie with Seinfeld. Yeah, literally, even this entire movie's existence was a joke. This movie is enjoyable enough on its own, it has some good jokes and nice flying animation, even if some are very awkward.
Honey slaves to the white man!
Even back then, it was widely criticized for its inane plot that is so unfocused and all over the place that it generally just feels like 3 different movies mashed together, and just lack of emotional anything. Also, this has always bugged me, but I hate the last plot, like the bees stop pollinating now and then all the plants start dying and like, what? That's not how pollen works. Pollen is just plant sperm used to reproduce and make fruit and stuff. It's not like some life force plants have to keep them alive. I know this is a cartoon movie about talking Jerry Seinfeld bee falling in love with a human and suing the human race, but that just really bothers me. Please tell me it did to someone else. But actually, that's not the thing that bothers me the most. I mentioned the inane whack-ass plot and the lack of emotional storytelling, and honestly, I would excuse all of it if it wasn't for the fanbase. The animation community would crucify this movie for all those things and already have for objectively better movies, but it gets a pass purely on memes. Like, this movie is great just because you like jazz and this guy sounds like Kronk and is immune to any criticism, and I hate that. It is such double standard bullshit that is one of the biggest highlights of the problem I said with Shark Tale, just magnified by a million. You're literally going to give this movie a pass because of stupid ironic jokes, but not going to do it for anything else? But to the topic, dance parties. And no, it surprisingly doesn't. Just another ending epilogue showing what the characters are. Huh, this movie could have totally had a dance party ending. It makes about as much sense as anything else here. Barry goes to the hive and everyone else has a huge dance party and a honeycomb dance floor. Maybe they can beatbox and they can play a song by the Bee Gees and the Beatles. It would be perfect. So you might have noticed the pattern. As I said, the success of Shrek and arguably Shrek 2 led to the Shrek Cascade, where most of the studio's output tried to match that energy and all the superfluous aspects outside of the Aardman films. These are all basically over-the-top comedies with celebrity voice acting, ingrained in pop culture, and a lot of time trying to define normal storytelling formats and parody genres. And to me, while I like most fine, I said a lot didn't capture the true soul of those films that still had an emotional core and narrative to them with all the comedic elements, and it's why I'm not personally into this era. But arguably that stopped with the next film DreamWorks release that honestly might have been the most important to the studio after Shrek, Kung Fu Panda. Holy shit, this movie, like the first Shrek, did everything right and was insanely influential. It managed to get that over-the-top comedic nature of the Cascade, but finally also brought in a genuinely amazing emotional and narrative core that worked extraordinarily. I want to appreciate that for a second because Po is like those characters. He's a celebrity actor with primary comedic functions and seems to be carried in the kung fu genre, but they utilized it brilliantly as he's the only one like that and made it work in the narrative and themes. He's the unlikely and orthodox hero in a serious kung fu flick and doesn't know how he can handle the destiny thrusted on him, and the perfect match of the themes of identity and personal growth and acceptance this movie has. Like, it's so genuinely masterful. Everything about this movie is so amazing. Po's character journey, how great he is as a character, the relatability and imposter syndrome that feels so real, how it simultaneously parodies and yet homages the kung fu genre, the amazing score and visuals, and the fight scenes. Oh my god, like genuinely, these fight scenes are so creative, well animated and choreographed. They're just stupendous. It's one of DreamWorks' best movies and no wonder it became an icon of the studio. The only complaint I have is the climax, where it just feels like Po just out silly Tai Lung, and only because he's suddenly treated as some kinetic blob that can't be physically harmed, when the previous training montage showed it's very much the opposite. It's actually something I think 3 did better, since they also had an over-the-top silly climax, but it was the intention, as the real plan was to be so loud and distracting as possible so that Po could sneak up and one-shot Kai. And also, like, this movie could have had a dance party. As I said, it has a lot of comedic elements, and Po's still a goofy character. There could have totally been this big celebration in the end where everyone just dances. But no, it's treated with a lot of dignity, with Po reuniting with his father that he held him come to his epiphany, getting respect from the 5 at long last, and just meditating with Shifu. It's great. And again, what else can I say about this movie? Not only was it a mega success with critics, it made a whole lot of money, but it also gave DreamWorks something new. From this point on, the Shrek Cascade was pretty much done, as DreamWorks itself didn't want to just copy the superfluous aspects of Shrek. As Kung Fu Panda showed, you can have your goofy comedic elements, but also tell a legitimately fantastic and emotional story, the true heart of what made Shrek great. And I feel this is DreamWorks' true identity. Unorthodox, yet brilliant. And I'm happy to say that a lot of their next movies exemplify that great, making, in my opinion, the greatest era in the studio. I think a massive example of that is none other than Madagascar 2. This movie managed to fix like most of my problems with the original. As I said, there was basically no narrative that naturally flowed and it was so unfocused and it felt like a lot of the character stuff wasn't engaging or superfluous. But this movie actually addressed all of it. First of all, it actually gave Alex a compelling backstory, being taken away from his own home and finally reunited, while also feeling alienated. And everyone else has their own arcs too, like Melman trying to address his feelings for Gloria after being challenged by the Giga Chad himself, Moto. Everyone has something to do in this movie, like the penguins and the chimps working together to fix the plane. And Nana, the one-off random joke character from the first movie, now comes back as an antagonist with a vendetta against Alex and becomes the tribal leader of a group of stranded New Yorkers. And all the plots come together really well, like yeah, it's actually a solid narrative here. It can also be really funny at times.
Is she dead?
No.
Now, okay, don't get me wrong, it's not cinematic brilliance or anything, but it is certainly an enjoyable flight that manages to fix virtually all the problems I had with the original. I think it's the best movie in this franchise, but to the ending, and yeah, it also could have totally ended on a dance party like the first. Hell, Alex literally saves the day by performing to the New York tribe and got his dad in on it. They could have totally had them show off the African animals in their New York style, but it didn't. They just had a nice ending and setting up the sequel trying to get to New York. And now to Monsters vs. Aliens. Now, I've actually covered this in detail last September, so please watch my video on it where I go over it extensively in the subsequent media for a full franchise retrospection. And after that rewatch, I freaking love this movie. Like, genuinely, I think it's one of DreamWorks' most fun movies. I had a complete blast seeing it again. Now that I'm an adult, I got to fully understand so many of the deep cut references of the 50s monster and alien style sci-fi movies, and appreciated how much of it is a loving homage and parody. Other reviewers are like, oh, this isn't a good parody of the monster movie genre, which I went into numerous detail on the contrary in my full video. I mean, one of my favorite things to do on this channel is to show how much big reviewers have absolutely no idea what the f they're talking about. But the story is so fun, the scale is just ginormous, and so many awesome and epic battle sequences. It's freaking hilarious. And I fell in love with the characters, the found family of the monster characters, and the nuance of their place in the world. And especially Susan's character arc from a complete doormat complacent with someone who just used her. After hitting her life by her unwanted mutation, learns to embrace it and how much she's grown emotionally and physically, and stands up for herself for the first time and appreciating her friends who was stuck by them. I love it so damn much. I love so much about this movie and handle much shit it gets just because it's over the top and doesn't have a serious story. Like again, if you give goddamn B-movie a break, then this movie more than deserves it. Movies like this love to have some sort of random cultural resurgence years later, and I really hope it gets one. Please watch my video on it where I go into my feelings in more detail. But for the ending, this movie totally could have had a dance party ending. It would fit hanging around the Modesto guys, the military guys, and monsters finally parred like the failed one earlier celebrating defeating Galaxar. I mean, come on, there was a full random Dance Dance Revolution parody in a previous scene, but it didn't. They just become a world-class monster fighting team and fly off to new adventures, which the extended franchise does show. Some good, some aren't. So yeah, this also didn't have a dance party, ironically enough. But then came another massive shakeup for DreamWorks. One of their biggest and most respected franchises, How to Train Your Dragon. This movie just... what can I say about it? It's beautiful, it's pretty much a masterpiece. The world they made, the bond between Toothless and Hiccup is so heartfelt and gorgeous. The great world building, the art style, the design of all the dragons, and the incredible animation and flying and music, just God, I love it. I genuinely don't know what else I can say about this movie, like it speaks for itself. It's a beautiful story of friendship, trust, wonder, and understanding that I feel helped to define DreamWorks' legacy, and how they can make so many great works of art. I also read the books the movies were based off of, and while they are very different, they're both extraordinary, and I recommend fans of the movie to check them out just to see the original interpretation of the world. This movie means so much to me, and with the books, it defined my childhood, and I was obsessed with it. And for a long time, it was my favorite DreamWorks movie, and my favorite movie in general. Everything just went perfectly, and this was also kind of a shakeup for the studio, because it wasn't like some lighthearted comedy. I mean, yeah, sure, it has comedic moments and jokes, but it was actually just a genuine narrative for most of it, which we haven't seen in like forever. Which again proves that DreamWorks can be more than just being those loud comedic parody guys. They can make legitimately great animated epics as well, as it becomes probably the most respected mainstream franchise with very good reason, which makes it pretty evident on its ending. Obviously, it doesn't have a dance party ending because it's not an over-the-top comedy. It's trying to be a legitimate narrative of found friendship. I mean, maybe if you really want to push it, there could have been a big dance festival celebration of the Berk Vikings and the Dragons with dancing, but that's really far-fetched, so no dance party ending possible. Then came the, well, former conclusion to the Shrek franchise, Shrek 4, or well, Shrek Forever After. Yeah, Shrek 5 really put a wrench into this. This movie is kind of like the black sheep of the franchise. well, okay, maybe not compared to Shrek 3, but it actually takes a major tone shift for most of it, being more like a drama than a comedy, where Shrek goes through a midlife crisis sick of losing his dignity after becoming a parent and goes to Rumpelstiltskin to get a day of his old life back, only for the contract to twist it so that he lives in a world where he never existed, as Rumpel takes over the kingdom, turning it to a dark parallel version in a horrible dictatorship where he has only one day to live and break the curse and ally with his former friends in a new ogre rebellion before he croaks for real and the world remains the same. It's like really serious and messed up, but I'm kind of into it. Like, really enough, I dig it. I dig like this dark fantasy AU with serious drama and stakes, and all the new changes and relationships with the characters. I find it really investing. I love the drama of Shrek taking his life for granted, but then realizing how much he truly lost. Admittedly, he is very harsh in the beginning, especially to Fiona, but that's the point. It shows how utterly wrong he was for treating her that way in the amazing life he had.
I'm your true love.
Then where were you when I needed you?
My life was perfect, and I'm never gonna get it back.
I really got into this movie, and I love a lot of its tone, atmosphere, drama, emotions, and so many ideas and scenes. It might actually be my favorite Shrek movie. I like it a lot. Shame that it got a bad reputation for some apparent reason, likely after people got sick of Shrek after the third movie and never marketing. But I am glad it's starting to get more respect around. But look, we've done it! We finally got another dance party ending! This time in a callback to the first movie back at the swamp with I'm a Believer, but weirdly enough, the other timeline ogres show up when they shouldn't know any of them. Weird. Also, that one part where they just kill Rumpel's pet swamp for literally no reason. Like, what the hell, guys? It didn't do anything. They just blew up his pet and laughed at him and their corpse. You guys are messed up. But then to the movie, I think has gotten the most fandom resurgence out of any DreamWorks movie yet. Megamind. Like, I'm serious, the sudden influx of fans and love for this movie just baffles me. Like, I remember no one cared about this movie when it came out in the years after, outside of maybe the presentation meme. But then like in 2018 or something, suddenly like every animation fan ever out of nowhere calls it the greatest thing ever and hidden gem among DreamWorks that deserves so much more. And like, what? I swear you guys did not exist in like 2015. So this is a superhero parody that tries to subvert the usual tropes and has gotten a lot of praise for it recently, as I said. And I like it, I really do. But I still have my problems with it. A lot of it has to do with the execution. To me, the movie kind of feels like it has Shrek's attitude of, oh yeah, we're gonna go and subvert this entire genre in a new unorthodox way. But unlike Shrek, where a fairy tale parody really hasn't been done that way before, there have already been plenty of superhero dissections in comics and even animated media. I think especially of Batman the Animated Series that often fleshes out its villains as people of unfortunate circumstances, by society or psychosis, and arguably had more nuance in less time decades before, so it already feels like this movie is late to the party.
I tried to play by the rules, but no, they wouldn't let me go straight.
Compassion, charity. Where were those pretty words when she needed to hear them?
And even then I feel the movie isn't as subversive as it thinks it is. Like, Roxanne is a textbook Lois Lane parody reporter girl and damsel in distress, but the movie never subverts that. She's still the damsel in distress who needs saving at the end. Which really sucks because that cliche really could have used a good subversion. And come on, the fact that the climax literally hinges on Megamind forgetting the depowering ray in his invisible car and conveniently finding it just in time is honestly really bad writing. It should have been done better. That's a freaking SpongeBob joke. Like, couldn't me end up taking it when he left? Also, the fact that the movie makes a big commentary about incel culture and being owed a woman's affection is bad, but then Megamind got Roxanne into him by gaslighting and lying to her, never planned to tell her the truth, and the movie completely ignores that and has them get together, with the only mention in the story after being a joke and he didn't think he actually did anything wrong.
You know, I think there's an apology in order for the other night.
Okay, that would be nice, but make it quick. We have much more pressing matters to deal with.
Okay, so being an incel is bad, but gaslighting a woman to liking you isn't a deal breaker in a relationship and can just be ignored. Got it. Honestly, I don't actually even believe that. I'm just saying this because one of my favorite movies later on gets its moral horribly twisted by illiterate jackasses online, and I want to prove it is so easy to twist the movie to having a bad message. You're not smart for doing it, so quit it. But again, even though I have my issues, I still like it. I think it's a fun movie and has some interesting new points, like having that incel factor back in 2011 and Metro Man's perspective was actually kind of nuanced. I swear to God, if people are like, oh my God, you like Monsters vs. Aliens but hate Megamind? Like, oh my God, I literally said I liked it. I hate this stupid internet hive mind mindset that not absolutely loving a movie to death and thinking it's flawless perfection is the same as hating it. It's so damn toxic. Can we just quit it and act rational? I like the movie, I have my problems with it, and that's fine. But on the topic, once again, we have another dance party, celebrating Megamind as the hero to Bad by Michael Jackson. I'm gonna be honest, I forever associate this song with this movie. Anyone else? Okay, we have to say another issue I have. Like, did everyone just forget that Megamind, for all they know, still killed Metro Man? I know he did it and they allude to it, but to everyone else, they still think he's a murderer and killed their last and very beloved superhero. Why are you guys celebrating this? Did everyone just forget that? But okay, now to one of the most celebrated and cherished DreamWorks movies of all time, Kung Fu Panda 2. Like, genuinely, this is regarded as one of the best movies they've ever made and one of the best animated movies ever made. And yeah, honestly, like, this movie is goddamn incredible. The first movie was already pretty much a masterpiece, and this one managed to improve it. It evolved the setting and the characters, giving so many new layers to Po and his relationships, and giving him an actual traumatic past he needs to overcome, with new lore in the dark tone, and Lord Shen is a fantastic antagonist. I think Tai Lung is a little bit better, but still, he was freaking nailed, and the personal connection hits harder. The animation and atmosphere is incredible, and the thematic cohesion makes practically a work of art. DreamWorks has a reputation for making incredible sequels that are better than the first movie, and I think there is no greater example than this movie. It is truly iconic for a very good reason. I love it to death. Before the video, the ending is not a dance party. Just ends incredibly with Po reuniting with his adoptive father after learning the truth of his past and loving him while setting up his real father looking for him. And also, I don't feel it really could work. Like, the first movie still had a comedic tone, and while this movie definitely has its great humorous moments, it's much more serious and emotional, so I don't feel it would fit as much. Next is... Oh, I didn't think I'd get to the last wish this fast. I was sure there was... Oh yeah, the first Puss in Boots movie. I genuinely don't think I've seen another animated sequel that has completely overshadowed the first movie more than this one. Like, I don't think anyone ever cared or talked about this movie until its critically acclaimed sequel that took the internet and reminded everyone that it existed. And even then, I only think its impact was the Humpty Dumpty meme. And honestly, I don't really feel the need to actually watch it for this video, so skip it to the ending. And luckily, we got another one, another dance party ending scene. Now, technically, this is the start of the credits, but since it has new animation with it and basically acts as an epilogue, I'll count it even as the credits started. And now to the finale of another notable DreamWorks franchise, Madagascar, Europe's Most Wanted. I finally got the chance to see it, and I'm kind of mixed. Like, on the one hand, it has a lot of really great animated scenes, like the Monte Carlo car chase and the circus performance is a visual treat, and the movie has surprisingly good choreography at times. Dubois finally gives the franchise a really great villain. He completely steals the show when she's on screen, and I got surprisingly into Vitaly's character arc, and I feel it ended on a perfect thematic note. On the other hand, it doesn't have as much of an engaging narrative or emotional growth like 2 did. It has some really awkward jokes and scenes, and especially the Julian subplot, not to mention a really forced lie reveal plot. But it is really enjoyable and a great way to end the franchise. It's not as good as 2, but still better than the first. And it actually gave us another dance party ending. Surprisingly the first in this franchise. Well, okay, technically it ends with Dubois being sent to Madagascar as a callback, but come on, like 15 seconds ago, it was a straight up dance party ending, so I'll count it. Rise of the Guardians, you certainly deserve better. Now, I would talk about it, but I do hope to one day make a focused video on it during Christmas, where I can give it proper justice, so I won't give anything away for this. For dance parties, now, as much as it would be fun to see Alec Baldwin Santa dance about, it wouldn't work here. Now to the Croods. I feel that this movie isn't really treated that well in the community, and I feel it's quite a shame. I think there's some neat stuff here. I think the narrative is fine, even if it's not the most engaging thing. I like Grog trying to keep his family safe, but struggles to move on for what he thinks is best for them, and unable to adapt to the new ways of thinking that guy brings. It could have been better, but like, anything can be better. That's not an actual complaint. My favorite thing about this movie is definitely the creature designs. Like, man, I love how cool and varied they are, and I feel they need more appreciation. But for an ending, nah, just the Croods happy in their new home. Grog may be able to invent breakdancing in a certified Grog moment, but that's not happening. Okay, so like, now we're getting to the era where I was going out of animated movies and I didn't go and see them, so I'm not going to be able to really get into a lot of these as much. I'm just going to go to the ending unless I have something to say, so heads up. And this vid's already going long enough, so I'll try to be quicker. Then Turbo. I don't know, even as a kid I thought that was a stupid idea. And I haven't heard anyone talk positively about it, so I'm not gonna even bother watching. So skip it to the end, now more racing, no dance party. Probably could, honestly. Okay, but now to another cherished movie at DreamWorks, How to Train Your Dragon 2. Now, I don't want to get too into it. I don't want to just hammer in how good these things are and just feels very repetitive. I will say that I like the first one more, but that's because of the more personal story and nostalgia. This one's still fantastic. I appreciate how it evolved the plot and lore and took it to an even darker direction, and I really respect the maturity it had. It only had a lot of balls to take it where it did. Well, yeah, because of it, there's no way it could have a dance party ending. Now, the Penguins of Madagascar. I guess if you had to continue the Madagascar franchise, this is the best way to go. Now, the Penguins are objectively the best part of the Madagascar movies, as their adrenaline-filled antics shake up the plot and are always the most entertaining and funniest parts of the films. But when put in the spotlight, it kind of falls flat. I think it's a case of a little goes a long way, and extending their antics to a full feature length doesn't make it as effective. I think the show did a better job of having adventures with the Penguins. I mean, come on, Jeff Bennett Kowalski easily beats movie Kowalski. And Am I the only one confused on how the North Wind exists? Like, I thought the world was supposed to be somewhat normal. How are they just high-tech spy animal agents out of Phineas and Ferb here? Still fun, but I put it behind 3. And like those movies, it totally could have had a dance party, especially King Julian and Co showing up as a post-credit cameo, but no dice here. Now to home. I keep forgetting this movie exists. All I know is that there's an alien who's voiced by Bazinga Man himself, and I don't really care enough to watch it and don't have the time skip. And hey, look at that, dance party ending. Now for what, well, used to be the final part of the Kung Fu Panda franchise, Kung Fu Panda 3. Now, honestly, I think this movie deserves a lot more credit. I even dedicated a video on it back in 2024, but don't watch my videos back then, I kinda cringe. I think it's a solid way to end it. Like, sure, it's not as good as the first two, but I still think it has really great emotional moments, narrative cohesion, freaking phenomenal animation and stylization that is so underpraised. And I think it has the perfect thematic cohesion to end the movies. Poe's arc comes to an end addressing all of his roles, and finally now becomes the mentor instead of the mentee to a new bunch of unorthodox trainees. And just like he did, he helps them utilize their unorthodox strengths. Compared to Kai, who only saw people as something to use for his own power. Poe was only saved by the efforts of those who loved him after all he's done for him, while Kai was defeated as he never earned the power he was after. I love it. But the movie ends with a big festival celebration where everyone uses new chi abilities. But wait, there's dancing, it's a party, it ends the movie, this is it. This is a dance party ending. Like, it doesn't feel like it, but it totally counts. Kung Fu Panda 3 has a dance party ending at long last. Now to Trolls. This one is actually a bit infamous in the animation community for being DreamWorks' most pandering franchise. I remember the sheer volume of hatred when this movie was announced and building up to it by the community. It definitely died down once the movie came out, but still kind of ripples. And well, it's a kids movie, nothing more, nothing less. I know there's a huge amount of arguing how kids movies should be judged, and honestly, I think it's fair to judge what it's going for. Like, I don't think it's fair to judge every single animated movie ever compared to something like Puss in Boots 2. Sometimes movies can exist and that's fine. To me, it's a spectrum of like an epic gripping narrative told in animation or just a kids movie, and the amount of harshness and critique should reflect that. And come on, again, if B movie gets a meme pass, then everyone should. At least this one has a narrative in it and a little interesting focusing on happiness and depression, even if it is rather shallow and pandering at times. And the singing Kill My Grandma scene is still totally hilarious. I will say, I really love the aesthetics of the world and felt designs for all the creatures and environments. I think that's legitimately great, and the art style of this movie deserves more credit. It's a little fun, but yeah, as an adult, you're not gonna get much out of it. And come on, this is a jukebox musical all about singing and dancing. Of course it's gonna end in a dance party. Okay, but while Trolls is considered pandering and very kiddie, Boss Baby is pretty much considered the peak of that. Basically, DreamWorks is getting rid of any artistic integrity and just making pandering mindless flicks for profit. And has a reputation for being stupid and inane to the point of insulting your intelligence. I only made it 14 minutes in before I gave up. Like, there's not even any internal logic and I felt my brain seeping out and I couldn't even make it past when he started talking. This doesn't feel like a DreamWorks movie, it feels like Illumination made it, and I genuinely feel that's doing them a disservice. I really don't know why this is more hated. Is it because of memes? I hate that. I'm skipping to the end. No dance party and it cares a little about its tone and story, it definitely could. Moving on. Hey, look at that, a dumb movie that's actually really enjoyable. Captain Underpants, based off the iconic kids book, was principal in many childhoods. Not mine though, I was always a Kung Fu caveman kid. Wait, what do you mean it got banned? Now, this is a perfect encapsulation of the books. Just as wacky, immature, and over the top, but unlike a lot of other movies that pander to kids in childhood, this one definitely more homages and exemplifies childhood, which makes it work much better. A bit of a K&D type way. It perfectly matches the tone of it and has a really good lively style to it that they mix up a few times. It's not that emotionally nuanced or anything, but it's a Captain Underpants movie, of course it wouldn't be, just enjoy the ride. It's exactly what I mean. Sometimes it's like kids movies be fun, as long as they're competently put together. But to the dance party, it probably could have. I mean, it's not too out of the question. Hell, there was a meme one earlier. But it doesn't. It just looks to new adventures, which never really happened inside the show. Weird because they call it the first epic movie. Doesn't seem like we're getting another one. Guess we got dugged. And now to how... Wait. What? There was another movie before? Abominable? I swear I've like never heard about this movie. I feel like I got Mandela affected. It actually really didn't do that well in the States, but did much better worldwide, mostly China, which it seems the movie particularly was catered to with its focus on Chinese locations and culture. But because it's so obscure, I don't really feel like watching it the whole way. I'll just go to the end. Yeah, no dice, no dance party editing, and I feel it really wouldn't work here. I mean, come on, there can't be a disco Yeti. This is DreamWorks, not Disney. And to conclude the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World. The conclusion to this franchise, and man, what an ending. I don't think it's quite as strong as the first movie or even the second. It kind of slows down a lot in the middle. But Grimma's a great antithesis to Hiccup. The animation is lovely, especially with The Hidden World. Like, holy shit, this place is gorgeous and so lively. I really wish the movie did more with it. And man, that ending just got me so bad. There's truly something special about this franchise that has captivated me and so many others for so long. It might have to do with the innate human desire to ride a dragon like a complete badass, but how it handles literally everything is so fantastic. I love this franchise and I'm sad to see it go. But yeah, to the topic, no way this series is going to end on a dance party. The dragons fly with dignity. And we go from How to Train Your Dragon to Trolls 2. Anyone who thinks that Dreamworks has a consistent output is a damn moron. Also obligatory. Now again, like the last Trolls movie, I don't want to be too harsh on it, at least there is a narrative. Basically, there are other troll tribes out in the world, all about different music genres, and they gotta stop the queen of the rock trolls from taking over all forms of music, and have to meet up and even fight the other troll tribes of classic, country, funk, reggae, and K-pop. Is there a Troll Korea out there? Wait, so you have K-pop trolls, but you made the rock trolls the evil ones? It's not very realistic. I appreciate the expanded world of musical themes, but it's still a Trolls movie at the end of the day. And I miss when the stakes were that they would just all be eaten. But it's a Trolls movie, goes without saying, dance party. Now Croods 2, A New Age. This one I feel got a lot more love from the animation community than the first, and while it is arguably a big improvement, with a more focused story and had plenty of great visuals and creature designs, I don't think it's that much better than the original. As I said, I like the original more than most, but even with a lot more streamlined plots and character development, it still could be rather messy and focused and weird. Still, a really fun and enjoyable movie I recommend. How many spin-offs did this have? No dance party, but honestly I could have with the extended new family of the Bettermans and the Punch Monkey tribe close by. You can even make a joke like, hey, I invented music. Boss Baby 2. I'm not giving this the dignity of watching it. No dance party, we're moving on. Now to DreamWorks' newest reoccurring franchise, The Bad Guys. This one got a whole lot of hype around it, especially for its animation, but I never was actually interested in seeing it. Just kind of felt like a retread of Megamind, which already was kind of a retread of Shrek. But a friend of mine has seen it, so I'm gonna ask him for his thoughts to substitute this segment. So, here, special guest opinion. Also no dance party ending. I asked them and they said it would fit the movie. But to one of the biggest and most impactful DreamWorks movies of the past decade, really, Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish. What can I say about it? No, seriously, what can I say about it? Like, everyone and their grandmas made videos praising the hell out of it like the next coming of Jesus. There's like literally nothing I could do to add to it. What I can bring up is how it affected the community after. For as good as this movie was, I think it left a horrible impact on the community. When it came out, it was showered with acclaim as a perfect masterpiece and the gold standard of animation, untouchable and impeccable. It's put on a pedestal, and it feels that every single movie after it, even before, is compared to that new gold standard. And I already went through how that's terrible, because this is not an average kids movie. This is a story about a larger-than-life hero, basically grappling and escaping his mortality, much more in line with the Seventh Seal than the first movie, and it should not be the industry standard. And because of it, I feel the community has become much more toxic and intolerant. It kickstarted the animation is cinema trend, with everyone clamoring that animated movies deserve just as much respect as the live-action standard. But the only thing brought up are these mainstream cinematic perfected masterpieces, and that's it. Everything else doesn't exist. Everything else is put down for not living up to the perfect idealized standard. I swear the animation community only works in extremes anymore. You're either a perfect cinematic masterpiece or a worthless piece of garbage that's disposable. We don't have nuanced discussions on movies. All the things I said that even good movies can have problems and bad movies have legitimately good aspects, and that's fine. It's either or. Hell, you can't even be okay or average now. Now you're just painfully average or mid or mediocre slop or shit. You're not actually saying that all animation is cinema. You're only saying that a small part, a fraction of animation is cinema and worth respect or notability, and everything else is worthless and not actually cinema. And that is so harmful. I have turned my back on the animation community because it is so hypocritical, toxic, self-destructive, and horrible, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I love this movie, but I hate what it caused. And that's super apparent with what happened next. And no dance party, with the tone, it really couldn't fit in like the last movie. Now for the big one. Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. Now for those who have watched me for long, you know that literally the reason I made this channel all those years ago is to make my first video to defend this movie. And I have literally gone on for hours about it. And so for the sake of time, I'm gonna try and compress all my feelings the best I can. So, oh my god, I freaking love this movie. It's literally my favorite DreamWorks movie. I love Ruby so much. She's the most relatable protagonist I have ever seen. I love her character arc so much, finally gaining confidence in herself, maturing, accepting responsibility, and loving herself while going through realistic and relatable lapses of self-loathing and depression. I love the relationships of the other characters, the family dynamics, and debates where each just wants the best for her. I love the art style. Literally everything correlates with an aquatic theme in the visual design, to the stunning underwater aesthetics of the world in a new ancient, vast, but alluring way that alludes to a much larger universe. The music is amazing, the original songs kick ass, and the pop songs fit every scene perfectly. How good Chelsea was as a character and the dynamics between Ruby. The movie's use of size and skill and the incredible kaiju combat climax that's freaking spectacular. The animation, use of choreography, and color that's absolutely mesmerizing and can legitimately rival Puss in Boots 2 at times. I have dedicated multiple video essays that are over an hour long about how freaking amazing this movie is, like nearly 2 hours straight on just positives. Why does it feel like I'm the only person on the fucking planet who understands that? Am I on goddamn Mars or something? Seriously, what gives? I dedicated this entire channel to prove how great this movie is, and I will never stop defending it until it gets the appreciation it deserves. Wow, that was a lot, but okay, to the ending. Now, everything is set up for a dance party. Ruby finally gets to go to prom she's always wanted, accepting herself for who she is, and everyone now sees the monster they once feared as the true hero they never appreciated, and her friends tell her that no matter what, they would have supported her, and it was all just her own personal insecurities, and then her crush was going to ask her out the same way she was pressured not to do so, and then her mom waves at her happy her daughter can finally be free in herself like she's always wanted. God, I love this ending so much, it's so damn heartful, I can't take it. But it doesn't actually do it. Yeah, they don't end the movie on it. It ends with an epilogue of the events with the Kraken's free to meld in society without needing to hide, and Ruby finally gained the confidence in herself to be the guardian of the sea, and then leaps the further adventures I will literally sell my soul to see. So no, despite literally everything, this movie doesn't actually have a dance party ending. So yeah, it didn't do that tired trope and commit to its own ending, which is another reason why it deserves more credit. Anyway, I really hope this has inspired you to please watch my Ruby Gillman videos and give it another chance, please, I'm begging! Alright, and then Trolls 3. Man, they made these fast. Oh god, you're doing boy bands. Look, 2000s pop songs I can take, but I can't do this. These movies really just aren't for me, I'm skipping it. Dance party ending, moving on. Then to a very controversial movie, Kung Fu Panda 4. Now, since this is post-Gillman, I did dedicate an entire initial review to it, and you can watch that for more info. And yeah, not good. I don't think it deserves the hellfire it gets online. Again, thanks animation community. But yeah, it definitely doesn't live up to the legacy. The plot's a mess, the characters are uninteresting and are insanely underdeveloped, and it just feels like an obligation than a work of passion. And it missed the perfect opportunity to have Tai Lung join to stop the chameleon and then accept Poe as the dragon warrior, but he does literally nothing. I read the movie got super sabotaged unfortunately, and it shows. At least I hope it made people appreciate 3 more. Anyway, no dance party ending, though Jack Black's cover is awesome and it probably could have. And then the big one, the Wild Robot. Yeah, it's won a ton of love and fanfare after it came out. But then people are like, finally, the crappy era of Dreamworks is over. It was like a single year. You guys know the Boss Baby 2 came out the year before The Last Wish. You are all actual babies. Now, like Kung Fu Panda 4, I also did an initial review of it when it came out. You can watch it for my full thoughts. But needless to say, it is truly a beautiful and emotional work of art, both visually and narratively, and one of the highlights of the studio. But even I had problems with it, naming some logical stuff and an admittedly forced third act. But again, people love to ignore that and treat it like a perfect work of media, a mindset I've already discussed in length as extremely harmful. But it does lead to another problem I have with the art style. Now, the movie had the same painted art style as Puss in Boots 2, and it's gorgeous. But my problem is how the community reacts to it. People now think this style is like mandatory for animation to look good now, and I can't stand it. People forget that these styles have thematic reasons for their inclusion, but no, if it doesn't look like this, then it's shit. Yeah, I love it how every animated movie that comes out now is demanded to have the same art style, not like animation as a medium is meant to be literally anything and singling it defeats the entire purpose. Elio got collectively shit on by the animation community purely by the shape of the characters' mouths and ignored the great alien and world designs it has. I guess we should reframe this as animation is cinema, except if it has a B-mouth style, then it can burn in hell. It's just surface level appreciation. You don't actually care about the art of animation, all the effort and dedication it takes, you just like because it looks cool and shiny. I love you, Wild Robot, but the worst case scenario I was worried about in that video happened. But to the topic, yeah, of course not, there can't be a dance party ending to this. How would that even work out? And we're getting really close to the end with Dogman. Now, while I grew up in the age of Captain Underpants, I was way too old when Dogman came out, so I didn't grow up with any of it. So like all this stuff I don't know about. And I might put away the time to watch it one day. It looks like fun, but I really don't now, so I'm just gonna skip to the ending. And wow, dance party. Granted, really abrupt. And finally, to end this entire list, my god, it feels like forever, Bad Guys 2. And yeah, sorry to disappoint again, but I haven't seen the first movie and I don't want to go through the second movie without it. I may one day, but I genuinely don't have the time. So to end and no dance party. And we're finally done. Sorry that I took too long to watching a comprehensive review of most of Dreamworks and a critique of the animation community disguised as a dance party video. But now that we finally went through every single theatrical Dreamworks movie, we can finally commit and go through the data analysis and see how many Dreamworks movies have a dance party and could have. So in total, from the 47 movies, only 14 legitimately end with a big dance party, which is about 30% of their movies in total have a big dance party ending. That is a little interesting because it's less than you'd probably expect with the reputation, but it still takes up a significant portion. But it also listed the movies that could have ended with them as well, where the plot and tone could have easily allowed them to end the same way. And from there, 33 of them could have had a dance party ending and it would have fit the movie. That's about 70% of DreamWorks movies. Yeah, out of 70% of their movies, only 30% actually did commit to it. I also mapped out the average distribution of the eras. But honestly, outside of the jokes, outside of the stereotypes, and outside of the critiques, I kind of feel it's emblematic of DreamWorks as a whole in a weird way. These dance parties originally came from their flagship franchise, trying to subvert the usual movie rules, make a new, unique, unorthodox identity. And it makes sense on why they keep doing it. They love to do these unorthodox type movies and try their own thing and be very experimental, with some things like the dance party becoming much more standard in the industry. They still keep that attitude for nearly all their movies, and to me, carves that identity. And yeah, while some give it to the cliches and modernization, a lot of times they don't when they really could have. As I said, they had 70% of their output to do it with, and they didn't. They could have made it their entire identity, but they didn't. And they often use that attitude to come up with new fantastic storylines, nuanced movies, and some really underrated ones I personally can't get enough of. I love the studio to death, and their output often speaks to me in a way most other studios' works don't. That wacky, silly, yet brilliant spirit that just works for me and so many others so well. Their output may be occasionally rocky, they may give it to pandering and modern trends, but all in all, the variety and imagination I'll always appreciate and love. Who knows what the future holds, and especially with how the animation community is going to react to some, but I will always love and support them no matter what. Thanks for everything. Well, now I got the big emotional ending speech done, but how am I actually going to end this video?
When we park, we'll find it with the invisible boat alarm. There she is.
Hey everybody, I'm Brock. I used to have a show on this network. Now I live in the damn dump!